Good evening and welcome to another edition of Filmnut. I'm your host, Jeff Schubert. Glad you can join us. Well, tonight, Filmnut gets overrun by the nerd herd again, as Vik, his friends call him Vik Sahay, who plays Lester Petal on the NBC show Chuck, joins me in studio. In addition to Chuck, Sahay's career began on the controversial series You Can't Do That on Television. His credits also include Radioactive, Our Hero, Good Will Hunting, This Is Wonderland, The Rocker, and more recently a film that was nominated for 5 and won 1 Genie Award, Amal. And here he is, the self-described acting geek himself, Vik Sahay. Vik, how you doing?
Jeef, I'm fine. I pronounce Jeef.
Jeef.
My friends do not call me Vik.
Okay.
Just my enemies, Jeef. Just my enemies.
Just your enemy. Well, you set me up for that, right?
Right.
Before we
Yes.
came on live, he tried to trick me and tell me, let's see if you can pronounce my name right.
Right, and he got the last name right, the first name wrong.
That's right.
Jeef, how are you?
Very good, Vik.
Good.
So tell me, I said you're a self-described acting geek. What does that mean? Because I've heard you refer to yourself as that.
Well, have I said that? I guess that means that I'm interested, overly perhaps, nerdily, in the process of acting. I like to get inside and figure out how it works.
All the mechanics of it, the subtext?
Yeah, the ABC, how other people do it. You know, it's it is embarrassing because I read acting books again and again. I go over it again and again, and it's something that I can't believe I said publicly, and now you're using against me.
No, I think it's a great thing, you know, because, and we were having a great conversation before we came on. It's like, you know, you don't take anything for granted.
So do we need to do it here now?
No, we don't.
Okay, good, we're
It's
done.
The interview's done, yeah. Too bad
Right.
the cameras weren't rolling then,
Yes.
right? So I mentioned nominated for 5 Genies and won 1.
Yeah.
And for those who aren't familiar, what are the Genie Awards?
The Genie Awards are the Canadian Oscars. They're the equivalent in Canada, the smaller, more polite, sweeter version of the Oscars.
Fantastic. And, you know, so I think you were nominated for writing, for directing.
Yeah, I think for almost everything. I myself wasn't nominated, so thanks for bringing that up.
Strangely enough, nominated for almost everything.
Yeah,
but
yeah, except me. So thanks for hurting me right off. Yeah, and I won for music, but it was pretty spectacular. I mean, the funny thing about being nominated is that you go from being a total winner, and then you don't win, and you're a loser. You're mocked and looked down on.
Well, you know, it's fun to be self-deprecating, but in all seriousness, I do think it's an honor to be nominated, and I say that as someone who has never been nominated or not won, so it's not some BS thing that I'm just saying.
Right.
It truly is, because you know how much work there is out there, how hard it is, and just to get nominated, you are in a select group, so it's great stuff.
To me, it was utterly spectacular, and that movie in particular means a lot to me, and we put a lot of effort into it, and it was a lot of down and dirty, hard work. And so when that kind of stuff started happening, the nominations and the festival circuit,
did really well in the festival circuit, right?
Yeah, it did great, and it's just such a, I don't know, it's such an amazing completion to that process.
Wonderful. Well, we are going to talk more about it and get to a clip later, but since you are fresh from Comic-Con 2009, do you have any Chuck updates for us? What was discussed? Were you able to give out any new information since we heard? Thankfully, congratulations, it was picked up.
Thank you very much, and the answer to your question is no. I know nothing. I can tell you nothing. I sat at that panel waiting to hear things like everybody else, and got nothing. Got what everybody else got. You know, that there's something will happen with Chuck and Sarah, that Awesome will go into the spy world a little, you know.
Wait, really? Something's going to happen with Chuck and Sarah?
Yes. Yeah, I know. This is a scoop.
That's a scoop.
I'm breaking it open
right here on Filmnut.
Yes,
there you go.
That's right.
Well, I tell you, one amazing Comic-Con, for those of you who don't know, is just getting bigger and bigger every year, despite the comic book title. It's actually, you know, every most major television shows film. They go there. The stars go there. They do panels. They interact with diehard fans. It's a great thing. Huge thing, and one of the biggest thing of this huge event was, in fact, the live performance of the Jeffster. So how did that come about? Did you guys know in advance you were going to do it?
Well, yes, obviously we knew a little bit in advance. Josh Schwartz, you were singing at Comic-Con. And I was like, oh, mother of God. And so I had no choice.
You had no choice.
But to infect the audience with my voice.
Josh Schwartz, like, remember those rumors about our budget down, some characters in, some you're singing at Comic-Con, right?
Yes, exactly. So I was like, well, maybe that's a good thing. And then I picked the song, and we jumped, and it was, man, it was surreal. surreal. I have never experienced anything like it. It was just, I was blind, terror, massive screaming.
I'm assuming that's the first time you performed live, right?
Yeah.
As the Jeffster.
As Jeffster.
As the Jeffster.
I think it's Jeffster. I don't think it's the Jeffster.
Oh, sure.
Again, that's two. Vik, the Jeffster.
Right. I mean, I was half expecting, I mean, there's a clip of it on YouTube, you can Google search it, it's getting more hits than anything else having to do with Chuck.
That's crazy.
And I was half expecting to see like women's undergarments being thrown at you any second.
No, only Scott's, which was really
only
awkward, because then I was like, and we're
Scott's.
backstage, no one can even see you throwing your underwear out. Yeah, so it was awkward. But no, it was massive, man. Like, it was really overwhelming.
You guys are getting a following. It's incredible. Now,
It's ridiculous.
I congratulated you about getting picked up for season 3.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. In the old days, shows had more time,
Yeah.
you know, to find their legs and pick up. To me, it would have been insane for them not to pick up Chuck. It seems like the show is really finding its legs now and revving up, and it left off at such a great point. What was your reaction to finding out it got picked up, and what did you buy?
Well, you know, I mean, I was waiting to exhale, right? I mean, I was holding my breath, and you know, big sigh, and you know, are you crazy? With the fact that it was so precarious, I just put my money in my sock and you know, put it under the bed, because who knows, man? You're right. There was a time where shows got a lot more time, and I think now, I don't know, money, I guess, people want instant success.
You know, and all the competition, and they look for ratings right away.
Yeah.
And if not, just crazy.
Yeah.
We have an instant message coming in from Slams. Vic, have you chosen which Prince song you want to cover this season yet?
Hilarious that you're assuming that it's going to be Prince. I can only assume it's because I'm so awesome. No. You think it? So I
Have
take
you
it,
covered a Prince song before?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. I assume that that's fan way of saying that I look like Prince.
Gotcha.
But Prince is that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we know Chris, one of the two creators of the show, likes ideas from fans.
Yes, that's right. He
So
just
he
sat
might be
there
watching this
taking
interview,
suggestions
writing
from the
down more
audience.
ideas.
Exactly.
That's what he was doing during the Comic-Con, for those
Yeah.
of you who didn't see that.
I mean, I think that the weird thing is that, I mean, I have to, when the chance to sing rock and roll is so incredible until you realize that you have to actually sing it. I have to actually get these songs down. And I don't sing. Like, I can't sing. I've never sung. I would love to do a Prince song, but that guy's got like a magical voice.
Right.
What am I supposed to do? Fail publicly yet again.
I think the beauty of how you do it both in the show and in the YouTube clip is, you know, the only way to succeed with that is 100% commitment.
Right.
Anything short of that, and you would look dumb.
Right.
But because you commit 1,000% to it, I mean, look, the fan reaction speaks for itself.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's just amazing. I mean, I guess you're right. Full abandon. Full
Right.
abandon. I mean, I guess that's what Lester and Jeff do. You know, whatever you think about their music, they believe.
Right.
They believe. And I guess that's fascinating to watch.
I just got a chill sitting here right now.
Wow, look.
Now, let me ask you about your
Easy, Chief.
Let me ask you about your character.
Yes.
In doing research to meet you, and I, you know, forming my own opinions, having watched the shows somewhat, but
Okay.
still, I want to hear it from you. How would you describe your character?
Clearly physically beautiful. What? No. Well, you know, he's a social misfit. I think he's an ambitious, overqualified, smug, arrogant boy who has had a tough upbringing and does not know how to behave with human beings. And so acts out and does things that he should not do.
Now, when you auditioned,
Yeah.
and the creation of the character, obviously you get the notes from your agent or manager when they're telling you about the part. How much of Lester is you? How much of it is the director or producer saying, we want Lester to be this way?
First of all, I hope there's no me in Lester, but I didn't. There was no breakdown for Lester. I auditioned for Morgan, and I don't think I got it. And so all I knew was Morgan, and then so I did.
So now, let's slow
Yeah.
down a second. You actually auditioned for Morgan. You
Yeah.
screen tested for
Screen
Morgan.
tested,
You
yeah.
went down pretty close.
Yeah, why are you harping on this?
Well, just because
No, yes.
I just wanted to cover you, and I really think it came down to the beard.
Yes,
You know?
I tried quickly to grow a beard, and I think I got a couple of. Yeah, that's the only reason he got
That's
it.
right. No, we love Josh. He was on the show for
course,
those
he's
of you who didn't catch it.
I couldn't have gone a better way. He's amazing, and I think that the thing is that he and Zach are so similar and have such amazing chemistry that's the way it needed to go. But it was down to me and Josh for that role, and you know, and as I said, I didn't get it, and it was just a nightmare of sadness. But then they called a couple of days later, and they were like, "We'd like you to play Lester," and I, you know, did not know who that character was, and in the pilot he had 1 or 2 words, so it's just a matter of me starting to, you know, massage that a little bit.
And then kind of flush it out as time went on. And
Yeah, as time went on, and you know, there was a little clue in the script as to who he might be, and I went, you know, and spent a little time in the Canadian equivalent of the Buy More and met some people, and I was like, this is where this guy needs to go, and that's in a not pleasant public way.
Well, you know, and here we go. It comes up again, not taken for granted, you know,
Yeah.
a 2-line, couple of word
Yeah.
part, and there you were, you know, doing your research for it. And,
Yeah.
You know, that's a good, you know, for actors out there listening, again, so Laurence Olivier, no small parts,
Right.
only, you know, small actors, so make the most of it. Every
Right.
opportunity. Silent would like to ask, Vic, is Joshua Gomez's beard as soft and luscious as it seems? Do we really want to be asking these kind of questions, Brian?
You know, I'm not going to answer that because I don't want people to know that I do know
Right.
what it really feels like. That's very awkward, and you've made me feel uncomfortable and kind of oddly excited.
There you go. Well, let's see if we have another question that doesn't have to do with body parts of your coworkers.
Oh, good. Finally.
Morith, this guy looks like Lester from that show Chuck. Good observation. Pibe.
Weird.
Okay, so I'm just getting this from the chat room. Pibe is responding. You are, in fact, Lester from the chat room. We have confirmation for that? Do you want to confirm that?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Nor divide?
Yeah, I do not know. I myself don't know.
So now when shooting episodes of whether it be Chuck or any show on TV
Yeah.
or even films, sometimes a lot more gets shot than actually winds up airing for a specific episode. And in show business, that's called the cutting room floor, scenes that wind up there.
Yes.
Is there any scene in particular that you were in on Chuck that wound up on the cutting room floor that's particularly memorable or that you wish would have made it to air?
Well, you know, I improvise a lot on set. A lot of that, 99% of that, gets left on the cutting room floor, which is fine because I think that the spirit of it remains on screen. You know, you're trying to streamline a show into a certain amount of time. So there's been stuff that's written about my character's family history that I always loved, and kind of gave insight into who he is, and that's been on the cutting room floor. And there was one scene with me and Morgan, with Lester and Morgan, where we thought we were going to die. We were going to get beat up by these bullies, and we end up staying overnight in the Buy More, and my character goes into how he thought he was going to die. He never imagined it was going to be like this. He thought he was going to be thrown off his yacht in his Speedos with a Bowie knife. He'd tread water for a while, but then the dolphins would attack. And Morgan's like, don't you mean sharks? He's like, no, dolphins. I hate dolphins. So I was like, it was a very sweet, real, genuine moment between us, and that got cut.
Oh, man. Well,
Yeah, man.
hopefully season 2 DVD extras. Maybe.
Oh, plug.
Plug, there you go. Andres would like to ask, what was it like to work with Chevy Chase and Scott Bakula this past season of Chuck? Any funny or interesting stories?
Well, you know, the biggest thing about working with them was once you get over the fact that it's these two legends. I mean, Chevy Chase, Scott Bakula. It's just I feel like a kid watching TV. Then you realize that these people are just great actors. They're working it. They're finding the beats. They're finding the comedy. And their skill and experience is you know, I'm at home taking notes. I mean, that was the most impressive thing, is that they're just these hard-working, extraordinarily talented actors.
Kind of a good feeling, though, when you see them and the things that you're doing right get reinforced, and then maybe you learn a couple things.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, yeah, it's a really nice moment when somebody like that says, "Great work, good work, I like that, that was fun, good job," or "Let me shake your hand." That really is
Must be a thrill.
It's a thrill. It's exactly the word. It is a thrill.
Now, since I know you don't know anything about season 3,
Yes.
it's not a spoiler.
Yes.
If you had your choice now, if all of a sudden, you know, Josh and Chris worked for you.
Well,
if Lester,
that's
if Lester
about to happen.
if Lester can go in any direction that you wanted for season 3, what would you have happen?
Well, good question. Let's see. I would really like Lester to find love. Deep, dirty love. And not just from his mama. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I think that it would be interesting to have somebody love him, you know, because, well, a few reasons. One, he's such a horrible person that I think that people think that I'm him. And so people hate me personally. So it'd be good for me to show a different color. But I think it would bring out a different side to him that would be, it would be interesting to see him respond to softness, you know. I think from Jeff he gets a kind of benevolence and non-judgment, and softness, which is, again, a different story.
I try.
Yes. Weird. And I don't mean you,
Oh,
I meant the
okay.
character, but
Okay.
earlier I got some softness from you, Jeff. I thought it was Jeef. Yeah, so I think that's where I would like, I'd love to see some kind of a relationship happen, where he's kind of taken off his game.
I think that'd be great to see. You know, we were talking about one of the reasons I think, I mean, it's great that they brought back Chuck. It's a great show, but one of the reasons I think it's going to be successful is because there's so many ways for that show to grow. Yeah. And obviously, Josh Schwartz, you know, he used the term game changer.
Yeah.
We didn't know what he meant. 1,000% correct.
Oh, wasn't it?
The way that season ended, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Chuck getting his new powers, the relationships there. So hopefully, as Chuck goes on to season 3, 4, 5, 6,
yes,
all
10,
that kind of good
12.
10, 12.
Oh, God.
Lester will get to explore some of
Yeah,
those
in
things.
season 12.
Season 12.
I'll get to do a little
We
bit
tried
more.
everything else. You know,
right.
What can we do to milk another season?
All right, that guy.
That guy. Moxie would like to ask, a while back there were rumors about the Buy More set had been taken down. Is this true? If so, will it go back up or will it be replaced with a new set?
Interesting. You're kind of going to have to watch and see. I will say that, you know, I think he said at Comic-Con, I hope, that the Buy More, you know, in some form will be back. It will be back, and the characters will be back. So we'll see where they go with it. I mean, I really don't know a lot of these answers. When I find out, I'll let you know.
There you go.
All right. I'll find you, Moxie.
Well, we're definitely going to talk about Chuck some more, but I want to transition to Amal for a little bit.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
This is a feature film that you starred in or co-starred in.
Yeah.
And why don't you set up for the audience what it's about, and then we'll show a clip from it
Okay.
and talk a little bit more about it.
The movie, I guess, plot summary-wise, in a nutshell, is about an eccentric billionaire who kind of is dying and is kind of disenchanted and really disappointed with his family, who he believes have gone, you know, corrupt and selfish. And he runs into this humble, very good rickshaw driver in whom he sees purity and goodness and decides to leave his entire inheritance to him. And the movie is kind of about the fallout. And I play one of the billionaire's sons, who is in dire straits and needs that money. And I guess I think the clip is that I've kind of made a deal with my uncle to get this money, and I think he is having second thoughts.
Now you said rickshaw driver. Is that
Yeah.
one of those things where the person sits in it and the person drags them?
What kind of sheltered life have you been brought up in, Chief?
I don't know.
My
Please enlighten
Lord,
me.
you don't know what a rickshaw... Yeah. It's a more modern-day Indian rickshaw, which is actually a motorized car.
okay.
Yeah.
I just had Seinfeld as my only reference.
That's right. All you know
Comes from
of
Seinfeld.
India is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That's your reference.
Well, with that, let's see this brilliant clip
What?
from
I
my
said it
new
was
friend
brilliant.
Vik.
I didn't say it was brilliant.
I think agreement was a mistake.
Wait, what? What? You're changing your mind a day before the reading? What happened?
Nothing happened. Nothing's happened. I know we had a deal. I was upset at the time.
Upset at the time? You said yourself he was crazy. Uncle, you and I both know that you, more than anybody, deserve this money.
I don't think he was crazy.
Why would he give his money to some fucking rickshaw driver then?
Well, it wasn't a crazy decision. It was very specific.
Jesus fucking Christ. There's 17 hours left. 17 hours left. You really think you're going to be able to find this guy?
I found him last week.
Okay. Well done. You got me. I'll sign you a fucking contract. You're crazy, you know that? It's a pretty elaborate insurance policy. Go get it.
I don't want the contract. Our deal is over. Our deal is over. Do you understand?
Great work. Thanks for bringing that in. I really appreciate it. Glad our audience got to see you in another role if they haven't already.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it's awkward to watch, but yes.
Well, awkward to watch. You were like this the whole time.
Yeah, I do not. I do not enjoy watching myself.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that like a perfectionist thing?
It might be. It might be a little bit of that. I kind of, I'll watch things to learn from it or try to get better at it, but I don't know. I like to be inside it, and I think it makes me feel very self-conscious, I think, to be watching.
Let me ask you then about the character you created for this particular role, or how you create a character in general. I think I've read where you like to build from the inside out.
Right.
Do you psychologically break down your characters, or what's your process from the point in which you book a role?
It kind of depends role to role. Yeah, I try to break down the character psychologically, and I think research is really important to me. You become kind of you get the script and you see the character and you take clues. You just become kind of a hunter-gatherer, you go on a scavenger hunt looking for that that key that you can attach to, that means something to you. That you relate to, sadly, as I play Lester. And you kind of go from there, and you start to bite into that. And then, I like to do research on the things that the character does for a living sometimes, and that might, just give you insight into who he is, and you build that way. And then you just try to submerge, completely submerge, get as subjective as you can.
You talk about submerging, and I'm going to get back to research in a second, but we covered that. This was a deep emotional character.
Yeah.
He had an addiction issue in the movie,
Yeah.
trouble financially and so forth. When you get to that deep emotional place and you have more deep emotional scenes in this movie, do you put it on and take it off like it's a jacket? Is it troubling to you? I remember hearing the stories about Heath Ledger when he was playing the Joker character, how disturbing it was, or he was having issues maybe with that.
Well, first of all, even mentioning Heath Ledger in the same sentence is something I'm doing is, beyond flattering. But yeah, no, I think that the thing about playing characters, at least in my experience like that, is that you can't really come in and out of it. You have to kind of, what I need to do, I can only speak for myself, is kind of remove any sense of what I consider kind of my Vic normal. I can't be. And I think, in terms of the Heath Ledger stuff, I don't know, but for me, it can be lonely. It can kind of create a skewed sense of the world and where you are at, and you begin to feel the character more and more and more and more, and you're doing it for months. And so I think it's exhausting more than anything. It's exhausting more than anything.
So when Amal wrapped, was it difficult for you to let it go? Did you take some time off?
I took a plane, if you want to know the truth. It's going to sound absurd.
The truth, or an entertaining story anecdote.
Right, exactly. I cannot entertain. So the truth is that I took a plane. We were in India, and I took a plane out to the middle of the Thar Desert by myself and slept out there by myself and just got rid of the character and came back, went to the wrap party, flew home. A couple months later, was shooting Chuck.
Book Chuck, yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned it's shot in India, and that this was, I read in another interview, a life-changing experience for you. What was life-changing about it?
Well, Jeff, I had no idea what to expect. I've grown up in North America. I consider myself North American. I don't think I really identified myself as being, authentically Indian. So when I went there, I did not know. I thought it would be very foreign, and instead, what I found was very quickly, some chord was struck. Some chord was struck, and that made me feel my ancestry and made me think of my parents and their journey and I said this before, but one weird thing that happened was I haven't spoken the language since I was 3. I haven't been to India since I was a child, really. And the language snapped back completely, fully, very colloquial way. And I was like, this is who I am. This is part of my blood line. And So it's hard to kind of articulate exactly how, but in that way, it's
great.
something in there. Yeah.
Has that stayed with you?
Yeah, it has. It has. It's meant something. It makes me really want to go back.
Great.
Yeah.
We got some IMs building up. I don't want to be too selfish over here.
All right.
Oh snap! Will we ever get a mini-series of Lester and Jeff having their crazy adventures at the Bymore?
Well, when you say "will we ever," we as a group can only pitch this to Josh Schwartz and Chris Fedak. I certainly hope so, because I think that the misadventures of Lester and Jeff could be quite traumatic, and
For them and for those who come into contact with
yes,
them.
exactly. For anybody infected by their touch, really.
Now, on the Internet Movie Database, I noticed you actually have a credit that is just Bymore with a
Right.
lot of the same cast as Chuck, but not everyone from Chuck. So what's that about? Is that another show, a web thing? What is
No, yeah, I think I've seen that. I wasn't sure what it was myself. I think it's the I think someone put it on there because it's the webisodes that we shot last season, and they called it the Bymore series.
And that's something that people can find online still?
Yeah, I think on the NBC Chuck website you can find those. Yeah.
Another follow-up on the idea of research as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of a specific example, either from Chuck or anything else you've been in, where the research led to a specific choice that you made as an actor that you wouldn't have made if it had not been for the extensive research or whatever research you did?
Choice I would have made. Well, it's all very informative. I mean, in a more serious way, I did a play, for example. I don't know why this is popping into my head, where I was playing a Sufi dervish, right? And I had no idea what that was, like absolutely no idea. And so I started to, research what Sufism, which is, I guess, the mystic arm of Islam, and dervish are the whirling dervishes. So I started taking whirling classes, and by the time the point in the play came where my character, sheds his clothes. Yes, I was naked on stage and goes off to leave all his worldly possessions behind. It was a very emotional scene for me to do, and I think it had a lot to do with exploring why people dedicate themselves to a kind of a suffering level of religion. So there was that. I mean, with Lester, I know when I was doing my research for Lester, I went into this Canadian Bymore, and I met these guys who worked there, and I was asking, inundating one of them with these questions, and he just loathed me. But he, and I asked him, what's the most inane thing, the stupidest thing that you have ever had to deal with? And what he said was, some people call me to come and fix their computer, and they just haven't turned it on. Okay, so that's what he said. So I was like, that's ridiculous. But it wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. And it was said with such derision, hatred, judgment of these civilians, arrogance, and I was like, that's Lester.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
Yeah.
I love that. The Bebop would like to ask, how many hours does it take to make each episode week to week?
Hours? Well, we shoot about an 8 or 9 episode a day episode. So each episode takes about 8 or 9 days, and we shoot anywhere from 12 to as long as 17 hours a day. Yeah.
Great. Moxie would like to ask, will that film that we just saw, will it be released nationwide, or is it more of a festival movie, or will it only be in select cities?
It was released in Canada. The American, we're working on the American distribution, and I think it's now out on DVD, I think, in North America, across.
Following up on that days thing, what was your longest or craziest day on Chuck that you can remember?
They're all such joy, truly. That I think the days when I have to sing are the longest. Not just in length, but because I'm so scared of doing it that the anticipation leading up to it, the waiting is terrifying. The doing it is terrifying, and I'm like, do we have to do it again? Do we have to do it again? And then after I've done it, if I have other scenes to shoot, there's such an adrenaline drop that I just want to lie down and go to sleep. So those days are the kind of most rigorous, tense-wise.
You reminded me, we had Christine Rose on the show, and one of the questions we like to ask towards the end of the interview is for like a favorite set term speak.
Okay, let me start.
That's right. Start thinking about that, right? So I think what she said was, it wasn't so much a specific speak, but she's like, when the director says, we're done, and then it's like, we're going again.
Yeah.
That little fake out. That
Oh
the
God,
gives
yeah,
you,
we have to go again. Check the gate. No, let's go again. Yeah.
And that was more of a dislike as opposed to a like.
That's right.
Sean O would like to ask, has Vic ever done any directing or producing? Is it something you would like to try in the future?
Ah, interesting, Sean O. Absolutely. I think I would like to do it. I think
Let's throw writing into that question too.
writing as well. Yeah, I'm very much hankering to create. To be a creative. Rather than acting is interpretive. I guess. So I'm very curious about it. I'm not sure when or how that would happen. I don't know what it would be like to have me in charge of something. Just disastrous, perhaps. But I'm curious about it, really. Yeah.
I'm sure you can do all three, but just sitting here, I'm just getting an intuitive sense that you'd be a great writer.
Really?
Because you're so thoughtful and you do your research and you break down characters, and that's kind of part of the process, for writing.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I mean, I know too many great writers to ever call myself a writer, so I would never do that. But yeah, I'd like to see if I can do that. It's a skill, man.
Absolutely.
You're a writer.
I mean, it's like anything else. I saw Al Pacino many years ago in an interview talking about painting fences.
Yeah.
Odds are, if I do it 100 days in a row, I'm going to be doing it better on the 100th day than I was the first day.
Right,
more
right.
effectively.
So it's a matter of sitting down and doing it.
So, but I think the antenna or the aptitude is there.
Right.
And of course, it would take work.
Right.
But,
getting the craft down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's actually on shows like Chuck, the more seasons it goes on,
Yeah.
the more common it is for some of the actors to take their directing reins. I don't know if that's something you would ever throw
Of course,
your,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love to make sure that an episode really cut well towards Lester. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the first way to start to cut my teeth on as a director.
There you go.
Yeah.
De-evolution, going backwards.
Wow.
Who at NBC didn't want to bring Chuck back? Yeah, de-evolution wants to take him down.
You're right.
Didn't want to bring Chuck back. From what I heard, it was the fans who cried foul, and NBC decided to renew for a third season.
Yeah. It very much was a grassroots, fan-led campaign that seems to have made a huge impact, and Subway on NBC. So I am, everybody said this from the show, but so grateful. I mean, I've never been a part of anything like that. I did a show in Canada called This Is Wonderland. I think you mentioned it, about these eccentric lawyers, and we were kind of unceremoniously canceled to whatever degree. And I remember being in a grocery store and hearing somebody go, it's too bad that show was canceled. And I was like, wow. And that to me was an incredible moment, And this was just like, a tidal wave of support and fans, and it was.
Was Comic-Con the first experience for all of you guys where you got to really feel the raw energy? I mean, like, you knew about it, obviously, from the internet and maybe your reps and so forth, but in terms of really feeling it and being with them in one space?
It was my first time at Comic-Con, and it was that's absolutely right. I mean, the Jeffster stuff, and then the panel, and then walking around and the stuff, it was so big and so unabashedly positive. No, caveat or anything like that. That it was, it was to feel the momentum, and then also to be able to take a microphone and go, "Thank you." It was really, really special.
That's great.
Yeah.
So another one of the projects you've worked on in your career that you started it off with, that we showed before we came on live, was You Can't Do That on Television.
Oh boy.
So my executive producer, the gentleman who I refer to as Master,
Yes.
definitely wanted me to ask this during the course of the interview.
We all have those.
We all have those. So what was the First of all, for those people who might not be familiar with it, what was the show about? And then talk about how you would pull off that slime skit that happened so frequently on it.
Let's ask your master what the show was about.
I'd love to jump in, actually. Hey, I'm Brian.
You answer.
I run the stream if you didn't see the pre-show. A lot of people in the chat room, as soon as I showed like the locker, it's called the locker sketches or something like that, I forget. Everyone was like, I love that show. So people love it, people did see it, and people did recognize you from it. If you're not familiar with it, You Can't Do That on Television was like SNL for 8-year-olds. That's the way I felt about it. And if you said water, they would pour water on you. And if you said, I don't know, they would pour slime on you, which to me looked like wet paper mache or wet newspaper dyed green. And I guess, being a production show, I'm so curious as to when someone got slime poured on them, what was the reset time? Did it easily come off? Did they make it special so the cleaning and continuation of shooting was not slowed down overly?
Wow, you are a fan. Well, should I really give away the how the whole
secret?
thing worked? Yeah, I don't know.
The secret behind the magic, yeah?
Okay. It took a long time. Took a long time to reset. They would lay down plastic, and there would be someone up on a ladder, is how it would work, and they would dump it wasn't just paper mache, it was oatmeal and obviously green dye and all kinds of horrors. It was warm, and it would get inside you, deep inside you. And then you'd have to be walked off and showered and all that stuff. And then if you were in the next sketch, you'd have to get remade up or whatever. And I myself got slimed once.
And how was that for you? Slimy?
I felt it was my first rock star moment.
There you go. Now, any chance of a collaboration between the Jeffster and Alanis Morissette, maybe? Because I know she was on
we're
that.
going to have to teach Alanis to sing, clearly, to keep up with this powerful vocalist. I think Alanis would run screaming in the other direction. It would ruin her. So if you can make that happen, right, then let's do that. But I don't think.
And you can thank your publicist for feeding me that information about Alanis
wonderful.
Morissette.
Yes, Alanis was on that show.
Let's see. E. Deer would like to ask, is there any character or role you would like to play in the future?
Many characters, many roles. I don't know about anything specific. To me, it doesn't really matter. I like to bite into great writing. Speaking of writing, and so I feel very fortunate with them all. With Chuck, the last couple of things I've done, that's been the case. And I like to work with dedicated people. And so whatever the character is in those circumstances, I'm excited to do.
Speaking of such, I've heard you in different interviews talk very respectfully and very loyally about the cast of both Amal and Chuck. Talk about what that means to you as an actor to work with a talented group of people where there's chemistry versus the opposite, where maybe the talent isn't there and/or the chemistry.
Yes, I've spoken well of the cast of Chuck. No, it creates a kind of trust, and it allows you to work with abandon. And on Chuck, it becomes like a 5, 6, 10-person ping pong game, and you can just smack the ball in one direction, and it's going to come right back at you just as hard. And in a different way, it was the same experience on Amal. I could kind of really unleash and open up, and I knew that they would be there, not afraid of it, going with it, there themselves. And so it creates a kind of, it allows you to believe in a world in the film. It allows you to just kind of dive into it and surround yourself without always feeling like, oh, okay, no, that didn't go well. And with Chuck, it creates I think a kind of electricity, a chemistry, an alchemy, a music, a dance that is that you just get on and ride.
I think acting, and if we want to broaden it out to include the writing and the entire crew, it's acting, the arts. It's a great example of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts.
Right.
Where the strength of everyone makes everyone else stronger, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I think that's totally right. I thought you can't really do it alone. You need your partner. You need your dance partner. It takes two to do it, and if you don't have that, it can fall. Yeah.
So talking about writing and directing, is there or parts you would like to play? Is there a director out there whose work you particularly admire and you'd like to work for? Anyone that comes to mind?
Many. The obvious, the Scorseses and the the Apatows and whatnot. Sometimes when I hear about who Michael Mann is, it makes me go, oh, I want to do it, because he seemed, from what I've read, he's hugely research oriented, and obviously we chit-chatted a little bit about how much I like that. So. Someone who will allow me to be my insane self.
Let's see. Alpha SIDN would like to ask, if you were to write an action movie, what would it be called and what would it be about?
Wow, that's a very specific question.
We all want you to write now, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot write. Don't you get that? My action movie, what would it be called? Super Bendy Thumbs and the Super Writer, maybe. The Anti-Writer's Block. You see, I'm I'm an acting geek, so it would be about like a great actor who's not a great actor in real life, but then pulls his shirt open and is great. That's pretty exciting.
That's pretty exciting. I'd pay to see it.
Yes. Sadly, it would be just you and me.
That's right. Well, speaking then of actors who also write, one of your early credits is in Good Will Hunting.
Right.
So now, when you worked on that project with a younger Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, could you see something in them that said, hey, these guys are going to be stars, or what was that project like?
I mean, yeah. I feel very instrumental in its success. My one word, 2 words in it.
Did you go to the Buy More to research?
Yes, that's right. I went and did all the research. Don't put it past me. Yeah, I mean, I knew that there was something special going on. The script was so incredible, and but you know, they were just 2 young actors who'd written themselves a vehicle. I admired that more than anything. I was on set to work with Gus Van Sant and Stellan Skarsgård and Robin Williams, and then I met them very briefly, and they were, obviously there was some aura about them, but they were regular guys, and then it exploded because their script was so good.
And then The Rocker, what do you take away from that experience?
The Rocker was one of the first experiences for me to be in a situation with real hardcore comedic geniuses, and that was just
Jeff Garlin.
Jeff Garlin. What's his name? Who played the Rocker? Dwight Schrute from The Office. What's his name? Rainn Wilson, who was a brilliant genius and now will never work with me.
You're welcome.
Yes, thanks for that. And thanks for helping.
That's right.
Clearly, you're like, let's watch him fail. So it was an extraordinary comedic lesson.
Wonderful.
For me. Yeah.
Andres would like to ask, do you have any other projects going on besides the upcoming season of Chuck?
There's a few kind of cool, for me, might-be's. There's a play in New York that I might do that I actually really badly want to do, and it kind of depends on the timing of Chuck in December when we finish shooting. And there's a film that I might do in the summer that's being put together now that is kind of going to be put together in the style of like Mike Lee, like where we're going to spend months kind of improvising and creating these characters and then shooting. And then there's a short film that I'm going to do that's this beautiful romance called Moon is Strong Cold. So there's a couple of things brewing that I'm excited to do after we finish shooting at least 13 of Chuck.
Well, you'll have to let us know so we can relay it to our audience.
Yeah.
Here's a fun question I want to get to from the IM board, and then I'll get to something maybe a little more serious. A website guy would like to ask, what would Lester do if the intersect was in him?
Oh, wow.
Have you been asked that before?
No, that's a great question. I've been asked, what would he think if he found out about Chuck? And the answer to that is that he would just be incredibly jealous and hate him. I think that if the intersect was in Lester, no good would come of it.
Right.
I think he would be trying to pick up chicks with it. I think he would ruin people's lives. I think he would wreak vengeance on all of those who who hurt him or he felt hurt him. I think there would be some vengeance seeking on his parents, who did not treat him well, I don't think. So I think it would only go badly, and eventually they would have to put him down like a bad horse.
Well, Chris, if you're watching, Parallel Universe episode, give Lester the intersect.
Yes, send that in. Send that in.
Write that down.
Write that down, send it in. Let's do it, because they are taking suggestions.
So we talked about the trip to India and what that meant to you and so forth. Talk about what it means, even though you're from this continent, if you will.
Yes.
What it's like pursuing acting as of Indian descent, looking like an Indian. Do you get stereotyped by Hollywood? How does that work? And what advice would you have for actors of that background?
Wow, you just stuttered and fluttered your way through that question. Is that tough for you as a white man to ask? Well, what is it like to be a brown-skinned fella? A lot easier than it was. A lot easier than it was. There was a time not too long ago where I'd go into any audition and they'd be like, yeah, way more fresh off the boat. And I think now it's almost like sometimes I'm the one going, well, he was born in India, so I think he should have an accent. And they're saying, no. I think things have changed. I think things have changed a lot, and they're continuing to change for, numerous uninteresting, perhaps, reasons, India seems to have splashed onto the North American, collective consciousness, and for whatever socioeconomic reasons, it seems to be a rising superpower people feel. And I think that, the Indian character is very interested in art and glamour and films and storytelling. But I think that also there's, the immigrants have had children who've had children who've had children, and we're part of the landscape now. And if you're going to shoot something that is a realistic depiction of what's going on out there, you got to put some brown faces in there, and they're not going to have accents. And so it's become easier. And I think that if I had any advice, it would simply be, work hard at your craft, work on your art. Don't give up. It's a tough game, and there's still a lot of stereotyping and racism, what have you. But dig into the work.
It's not the obstacle it was.
Yeah.
And
so you're trying to sum up, are you? You're trying to help now. Mr. Whiteface is now.
I'm trying to reclaim my articulation.
Yes, all right. So let's hear it.
It's not the obstacle it was.
Right.
And the idea is just, to work hard. And
Yeah, and it can happen. I mean, yeah. And we're here, so look me up, find me. We'll hang out.
Good deal.
Did I say that?
Yeah, that's right. Publicist behind screen
Yeah,
going,
that's
"No."
right. Oh, my.
Brian W., if you can play any celebrity in a movie, who would it be? If you can play any celebrity, I'm reading that right, in a movie, who would it be? So if there was, a true life story about someone?
a celebrity, is that the question?
Take it however you want, but
Well, I guess Prince has been
been thrown out.
been thrown out there, so let's start there. I'll play Prince. How's that? Yes? No? This is what it sounds. No.
How would you compare, you've mentioned theater a few times. Is theater something you always want to do, even when you become a big A-list movie star? How do you compare it, theater, film acting?
Both are, I feel, they're very different, but the approach in some ways is the same. With film, you can completely disappear into a role. You're doing it for a finite amount of time, and you can kind of just let go of everything. With theater, you kind of create a character that you're going to be doing night after night after night after night. So there's a lot more technical requirements to it. But it's very often the writing is deeper and thicker and dramatic and big and operatic, and that I love digging into that stuff too. And then there's television, which is a very different beast. It's longer. It's much more social. I in a way I feel least suited to it. In a way. But it's got its own kind of, and the social aspect of it, I think, helps the work. You need to be there. You need to jam with your fellow workers and stuff. And so each has its own kind of technical requirements. But tap at the truth, and you can go from there.
Fair enough. Well, we're at that portion of the interview now where I get to kind of like my quick wrap-up questions.
Oh, Lord. Already?
Already, yeah. I'm telling you, it flies by.
Yes.
What is your...
My publicist is sleeping.
What is your favorite part of production?
Favorite part of production. I think Gene Hackman once said, if I can quote him, his favorite part is between action and cut. So I'll steal that. Thanks, Gene.
I was going to say, if I wanted to know what Gene Hackman's favorite part of production was, I would have asked.
Right, yes, because, it's a good thing you turned him down to have me here.
That's right. And what would be your least favorite?
Least favorite part. Let's do it again, Vic. Stick to the lines.
Fair enough. And I kind of gave you the clue about 10 minutes ago. Do you have a favorite set term speak?
I think it would be martini shot. Martini shot. I love the term. I love what it means. I love that the day's over. I love it means that we're going to sip a martini, which I often do by myself. No one wants to hang out with me after they see me as Lester. But I like that term, martini shot, the martini.
Good deal. So now, Chuck, season 3, we think it premieres in March. Is that correct?
Yeah, March, right after the Olympics.
And you're going to go in about a couple of weeks?
Yeah, a couple of weeks, week and a half, August 6th, I think we start. So.
Oh, that's very close.
Yeah, we're there.
About a week.
We're there. I'm gearing up.
And Amal can be purchased
Yeah, right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a website for it?
amalthemovie.com, I think.
Okay, so
AMAL.
So check that out. I want to thank you so much for coming in. It was a pleasure
Jeffrey.
meeting and talking to you.
Jiff. Is it Jiff?
It is Jeff. For you, it's Jeff.
All right. Vik, awesome talking to you, man. Yeah, thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I want to thank Vik Sahay one more time. It was great talking to him. Check out Chuck. I know it's a long ways away. Season 1 is on Netflix DVD. Check that out if you've never seen the show before. I think Season 2 is going to be available relatively soon.
Soon they say.
If not already. So definitely check that out. Thanks again for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you guys next week.